Hello, hello, hello. How are we doing today? My name is SpectrumDominus, and today we are here with our NXT TakeOver Chicago prediction show. As always, I'm doing this live on my Twitch stream. You can join us every Friday night where we do all sorts of stuff, and every Friday before a pay-per-view, we do our prediction shows live. My Twitch chat is here with me as well. And you can check that out. The link is in the description below. I'm at twitch.tv/SpectrumDominus. Tonight we're talking about NXT TakeOver Chicago, which is tomorrow night, a little bit, about 24 hours away. And I'm using the same format I do every time. I go to the Wikipedia page for the event, and I look at their match list. I found that I've never seen a match on Wikipedia that did not happen on the show. However, I have on multiple occasions found matches on Wikipedia that I didn't know existed for the event and then did happen on the event. So I feel very confident about the Wikipedia lists up to this point, so we're going to use that list. NXT TakeOver Chicago, they have a 5-match list for NXT. We're going to go through, work our way from the bottom to the top of the card, and I'm going to give you just an insight of how I think about it on each of these matches. Now, most of the cases, I'm going to let you know as I talk about it whether I'm choosing. I will give you a definitive, this is my choice, however, in some cases, but always a definitive, this is my answer, so that I can be right or wrong. A lot of times when I do that, if I do have differing opinions, I will explain how I'm picking this, which is the how I want it to go opinion, or I'm picking this because that's how I think WWE is going to go with this. I'll let you know, and it's not always I go the same on the same card. If I pick 5 matches and I pick how I want it to go, it's going to be completely different from picking 5 matches and how I think WWE is going about it. But I'll always let you know which way and what my mindset is on every match as we go along. So, the first match I see here is Roderick Strong versus Eric Young. It says with Alexander Wolf and Killian Dane, meaning Sanity will be at ringside, according to this. It's a singles match. It's a regular match. This could go multiple ways. There's not much into this. They literally just started this fight this past week before the pay-per-view. There's no build-up whatsoever. This could be a case where there's no finish and Sanity just decides to beat up Roderick Strong. I also think that there's a good chance that this is going to be kind of a boring. Roderick Strong sneaks a win and gets a win here. Roderick Strong, they've done a lot of these. They spent a couple weeks giving you a lot of background on Roderick Strong, building him up through vignettes, and then had him lose in the number 1 contenders match versus Hideo Itami. So a loss here really kind of hurts, and it seems to say, why do you give this time to Roderick Strong in the vignettes if you're just going to have him keep losing? That is why I think this safe play, that if I'm putting money down, Roderick Strong is the answer. What I'm going to go with, though, my official answer is a little more of what I hope happens. And what I hope happens is Sanity, whether they get involved or not, they cheat enough to where Eric Young picks up the win. First of all, to me, Eric Young is the number 1 heel aside from Bobby Roode, the champion himself, and you need to build him a little. He came in very weak. You know, he has this backing behind him, but he took a lot of losses early on. I'd really like to see him take a win here as well. But more importantly, with a loss to Hideo and then another loss to Young, you could build that often used and often not used correctly, but Strong gets frustrated at a losing streak, and I'd love to see them turn Strong heel. I don't know a lot about Roderick Strong outside of NXT, but I've heard multiple people say that Strong has a strong heel character, and he just comes off bland as a face. And that is part of my problem with Strong, or for me, with his introduction to me in NXT, is I find him bland and boring. So if he has that better heel character, which I've heard he has, a turn to the dark side, maybe even a turn to the dark side to face someone like Drew Galloway or someone for the title after the title shifts forward later, I think that would be a good thing for him. So I almost want to see an Eric Young win and a Roderick Strong frustration to where it eventually leads to a strong heel turn. So that's what I'm putting my money. I'm putting my statement as Eric Young gets the win here, but I believe I'm probably wrong. If I had to actually put money on it, I think Strong takes it. The second match I see is Tyler Bate defending his United King Championship versus Pete Dunne. I hope that they give the title to Pete Dunne here. I think that they're going to give the title to Pete Dunne here. The Cruiserweight Championship tournament was won by TJ Perkins. TJ Perkins was a inspiring story, a face. He was a kid that everyone could get behind, and it was a good person to come out of the tournament with the championship. Tyler Bate was the same thing. Now, again, I've heard the same thing about Tyler Bate as I did with Roderick Strong, that he has quite a good heel character and that his face character is a little bland. I actually don't mind his face character too much. He's doing fine with it, but I don't think from what I've heard, and this is only the rumors I've read and heard, that he doesn't really care to work face. So getting the title off of him allows him to step back from the title picture and do one of those switches eventually. I think, but from what I hear and what I've seen from the tournament, Pete Dunne is the real star of this division. He is the man of this. If anyone is going to survive out of the UK championship division, it's going to be Pete Dunne. And I think that his character being that hard-nosed heel that he is, that William Regal type character, they did not want to put the title on him coming out of the tournament. But now it's a couple months past. Bate has defended his title a couple times versus Gallagher and the other UK guy that his name eludes me right now. But I do think that this is a perfect chance for them to put the title on Dunn. So I have Dunn walking out of NXT. Trent7, thank you. I just got that from my chat. Someone chat helped me out there. And this is why we do it live, because I don't have all the answers in my head, but they can help fill in the holes. Someone else also says that he fought Mark Andrews, which I know he fought, but I wasn't sure if that one was a title match or not. If it was, then he defended it 3 times. So losing it to Dunn here is not a bad idea. So I'm okay with Dunn taking it. I think that he should, and I hope and think that he will. So I'm putting down my mark under Pete Dunne. The next is the Authors of Pain versus DIY, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. I do not want the Authors of Pain to lose the titles here. I like the Authors of Pain as these unbeatable beasts, and I do like DIY. I'm a big Johnny Gargano fan. I like Tommaso Ciampa enough. I like DIY. I wouldn't mind seeing them to get the belts back eventually. And when I say this statement, and I make this statement, and I realize how dumb it is when I say it, I don't think the Authors of Pain have had the belts long enough. Now, most of my viewers remind me that that the Authors of Pain have had the belts for almost a year now. So, yeah, they've had it quite a while. It just doesn't feel like that. And that's part of my issue with the NXT format, that with the much fewer pay-per-views, like in 80s WWE amount of pay-per-views, it doesn't seem like they defend it as much as we're used to with the current formats, and thus they don't feel like they've had it that long. They've had the belts for a year, but they've defended it 4 times that I can remember. So it doesn't seem like they've had it long enough to really cement that they're a champion. Asuka just now seems like she's having it long enough, and she's had it over a year. So I still feel like they needed another couple months, another pay-per-view, win this one and go on to another pay-per-view. That being said, sticking it in a ladder match really, really tilts it in the favor of DIY. Gives them something to, they're definitely more flips than Authors of Pain are going to be. And in a ladder match, we know how much that can be used in their favor, in DIY's favor. Setting up the ladders in unique positions and flipping and flying with the ladders to make some very entertaining and very unique offense. I think that it's perfectly set up for DIY to take the titles here. That I think it is also a way to give DIY the titles without making the Authors of Pain look that weak. I'm going to analogize this to the tables match. We see a lot of times where we want to put the title on someone, but we don't want the champion to look weak. I always go back to Sheamus winning his first world title off of John Cena in a tables match where John Cena slipped off the rope and stepped through the table, and that was it. And that's kind of the same situation here. By having it in a ladder match, it's a good way for DIY because they don't have to pin the Authors of Pain. They just have to climb up a ladder and unhook a belt. And they're faster, they weigh less, so they have the more agility. All the things about climbing a ladder are in DIY's favor. And so if I had done this video an hour ago, I would say DIY are going to win the titles. That being said, I have heard from my chat that Tommaso Ciampa has injured himself in a house show this just today or yesterday, and he rolled his ankle or something. Now, apparently, allegedly, he is okay to work the event. But I'm not sure if it's a set case where they want him to rest up and say, work the event and then take your rest. They won't put the titles on him for that. So depending on how bad it is, if it is it's bad but I'll work the event and then rest, then they're not going to put the titles on DIY. If it is I'm fine to work the event and go forward from there, then if they were planning to put it on DIY, they will continue that. They won't veer off course. It does give me a little bit of hesitation by saying DIY is going to take the titles here. But also, if they're not saying that DIY can't continue, if he can fight the match and continue past that, then him overcoming the ankle thing is just more in the favor of DIY. So I am going to put my little check mark on the DIY side of this. I think they take the titles off of Authors of Pain, although from my writing perspective, I do feel it's still a little bit of a mistake. So the second to last match I have here is a triple threat match for the women's championship. Asuka versus Ruby Riott versus Nikki Cross. Now this was originally a fatal four-way, and Ember Moon was a part of the fatal four-way as well. I think that there is a possibility, or there was a possibility, that the reason why they did this was that they were going to put the title on Ember Moon without having her beat Asuka. They could have had the match and had Ember Moon ping Nikki Cross or Ruby Riott, and then Asuka loses the title without having been beat. And now she's still unpinned and unsubmitted, but she doesn't have... And that sets up for quite a strong rematch when it's one-on-one. Asuka, who beat Ember Moon by nefarious means originally. Ember Moon could have won, except Asuka grabbed the ref and threw him into the ropes. And so did she win or did she not win? And then Ember Moon wins the title, but Asuka doesn't lose. I think that's the storyline they were headed towards. With Ember Moon being pulled out, I don't see any situation where they decide to put it on Ruby Riott or Nikki Cross. I think this is an Asuka retaining. Whether it be Ember Moon is healthy enough to get involved, even though they've announced that she's not. She comes down and interferes and they throw the match out. Or just maybe Ruby Riott hits Nikki Cross with her finisher, but then Asuka throws Ruby Riott out of the ring and steals the win. They could make Asuka look completely dominating by having her dominate. However they want to end it, Asuka is leaving with the title because the whole plan is Moon. And Moon, although she's injured, is not that bad off that she's not going to be back soon enough to continue that. So I believe that Asuka, especially with her recent heel turn, I believe that she walks out with that. I don't believe she turns heel at the previous pay-per-view by throwing the ref in and retaining that way, just to come here and lose it to someone who's not involved. So Asuka is, to me, this is the one, easy, easy in. There's no way this is not happening, and thus I'm probably wrong. The last two that I named as this guaranteed is the word I was looking for. The last two that were this guaranteed were Bayley was going to retain against Alexa Bliss, and Kevin Owens was going to retain against Chris Jericho at the last pay-per-view. So apparently I don't know what I'm talking about. So just keep that in mind. And then finally, there's the NXT Championship match. Now, if you watch my channel, you will know that I have a theory about the world title in NXT. It's a very similar theory to the 205 title and on 205 Live / Raw. And the theory is that, and they may not even realize they do this, but ever since about Sami Zayn, there's a format that has fallen into place, and that is someone wins a championship, and almost exactly at the same time, the NXT announces the signing of a new wrestler. And then the person who wins a championship, whether it be Sami Zayn or Finn Balor or Samoa Joe, Shinsuke Nakamura, they go and they fight one or two more matches against different opponents, which they win to build them up. And then that new person that just showed up about 8 months in, 6 to 8 months after coming in, and after the new champion had the title for 6 to 8 months or longer, they take the title away. So it's Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and then Kevin Owens and Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura, and Shinsuke Nakamura and Samoa Joe. Back to and that was back to Shinsuke. But while that was going on, Bobby Roode showed up, and then Roode won it off of Shinsuke, and Drew Galloway showed up. So in my opinion, the next NXT heavyweight champion is Drew Galloway. And the matches that Bobby Roode has to face while getting there is Hideo Itami, Cassius Ohno, which he already did, Hideo Itami, and if they want another one, Roderick Strong. But but it will be Drew Galloway that wins the title. So this is just a Hideo Itami getting a main event push, a minor main event push. He doesn't even, I don't want to say he doesn't belong there, but he doesn't belong there. He's not there. But this is not where Bobby Roode loses his title. The glorious Bobby Roode will hold on to his title at NXT TakeOver. If any of the titles change hands, 3 of the 3 NXT titles change hands, it will be the tag team titles, and the UK title has a chance as well. I don't see them doing more than 2 changes, and thus the top 2 titles, the women's title and the men's title, world titles, are pretty much safe at this event. That is my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. Like I've said, we do a lot of different wrestling stuff, whether it be Supercard, WWE 2K17. We have our own wrestling league that we run through the 2K17. We open card packs, loot boxes, prediction shows, all sorts of fun wrestling stuff on the stream. So check out the description below. Click that link, twitch.tv/SpectrumDominus.com, and give me a follow. It costs you nothing, but it makes our day happy. So we'll see you next time. Make sure you check out my Backlash video, also in the description below. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. Got